My name's Jahred. I sing for HED PE. We got that new record that just came out called Detox, and we're on our way to South America, and then can't wait to get to Australia.
Fantastic, Jahred. Thanks for joining us today, mate.
Yo, thank you, bro. Thanks for having me. Thanks for taking out the time.
My absolute pleasure, man. So, as you say, HED PE return to Australia early next year. Run a show starting in Perth on February the 2nd before going through Adelaide, Melbourne, Sydney, and finishing in Brisbane on February the 9th. Then you head to New Zealand, to Wellington, Christchurch, and Auckland, mate. So, I can tell you now, mate, it's still a couple of months away, but people in Australia are pretty excited.
Yeah, me too, man. It's always a good time whenever we get to your country and rock out, man. I've never had a bad show in Australia, man. Everyone's always been great.
And it's you haven't been here since 2018, mate. So what's changed with HED PE since then?
Whoa, is that Jesus? That is 2018? I think we've been there since then, but I'll take your word for it. Well, we put out this record Detox, which has done really well. It debuted #1 on iTunes, rock and metal. And so we just been happy. We played a lot of festivals this year and a lot of good tours. We just got back from the UK touring with Soil and Nonpoint and Union Underground. And that was amazing. So I'm just working on this secret record that I'm about to deliver and just staying busy, busy with the music.
Nice. And so for the benefit of those that might not have heard HB before or seen you live before, run us through a typical live show.
Oh, a typical live show? Well, we try to take you on a journey, I'm a big fan of storytelling. So, we'll take you everywhere. We're trying to have a beginning and a middle and an end to the show, hopefully provide some catharsis, some venting for anybody who comes down, we go from very pensive hardcore to party music to, metal, punk, reggae, hip hop, in just the right amounts.
How do you find touring in the modern age, mate? HED PE you've always been an honest and open band, and you say what you feel, but the world's becoming so sanitized these days that if you fart in public, people get offended, mate. Have you had to check yourself at all, or do you just keep being you and not give a fuck?
Yeah, but people do say that what you're saying, but I guess in a reference to some sort of cancel culture that does exist, but at the same time, now with the internet, and with hip hop music and rap music, there's still a lot of dirty stuff out there, But I do know what you're saying. I myself, as an artist, if I could go back, I definitely wouldn't write some of the more provocative stuff that I thought was I tried to push buttons a lot in my earlier years, now that I'm a family man and a dad, I hear some of that old stuff and I'm just rubbing my head how could you? What were you thinking? But hey, it is what it is, and it's there for eternity. And hey, I'll have to live with it. But you know what? Going back to your question though about how I approach whether I think I'll get canceled or not. I guess I'm lucky because I'm not in my younger years when sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and I was singing about all of the dirtiest stuff. And now I'm like a family guy anyway, and a proper, husband and father. So I wouldn't, although on the last record, I did put out a pretty nasty song with some pretty, provocative lyrics. But it's nothing near the angst-ridden, oh, I'm really pissed off at a chick, at a girl lyrics that I used to write, So, I always, I'm always trying to blend my songwriting between reality and totally fantastical stuff that I'm just creating out of my imagination, so just trying to balance that as well is fun.
Yeah. And you've been doing this for a long time, bro. So have you ever had a night when you're about to go on stage and you're just not feeling it? Like how do you turn that around
You
and
know what? The only time, if I could be like painfully honest, the only time I'm not feeling it is when I walk into a room and the crowd is much lighter than I think it should be. Meaning, I don't mind. I make my living in tiny bars all over the planet, and I'm used to playing for less than 100 people. But if I get to a town where I know I do really well, and I walk into a room and my normal crowd isn't there, then I can kind of get a little pissed off at the way the game works, meaning the promoter didn't do his job,
yeah.
and so like that's the only time when I'm like, oh, then I might have to do an extra shot of Jaeger. But even in those situations, bro, um, I'll find my way to like get in the groove and give my best for that show.
Yeah. Now you mentioned it before, but HED PE released your 15th studio album Detox late last year, mate. So how was it received by the fans?
Yeah, people love Detox, bro. It's one of the best received records in a long time. I've done so many records, they all don't hit the mark. Although, I always do my best, I'm always excited to release them, but people aren't always feeling what I'm feeling but on this one the timing was right cuz everybody was feeling Detox for sure.
And at the time it came out, like you said that the band had incorporated more rap elements and the music is notably heavier and thrash orientated. Like now it's come out and the fans have had a chance to listen to it. Do you think that that's a general consensus?
Yeah, the fans are saying it's like the best record in 10, 15 years or whatever, which is kind of hurts my feelings, but like all the other ones suck or what. But you know, it's bittersweet, but I'm just glad people like it.
Yeah. So after 14 previous albums, mate, and 3 decades of music, like it's a big call to making adjustments like that, like putting more of the thrash in there and notably heavier. Like, was it a risk of sorts, I guess, to sort of explore that territory again?
No, I don't think that Detox was a risk. There was no risk there because I wasn't like breaking new ground or it was kind of the like I kind of knew that people were going to really dig it because it's giving the people what they want without just like making it mindless. It was a deeply personal record and the music hits hard, but it's also again not coming out of left field. It's just that heavy HED PE metal punk rock stuff.
And no respect to bands that do, mate, but one thing I love about HED PE is that you're still making new music and you're still touring, whereas an increasing number of bands are happy just to continue touring their existing catalogue. Like, is that something you've spoken about as a band to continue that going, or is it just in your DNA?
What, to do a lot of touring?
And keep making music instead of just resting on your laurels, and just touring the old back catalogue.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a cautionary tale of someone who didn't plan for doing anything else in his life. So rocking out and making a buck, for playing a show. It's all I've known for over 30 years now, and I sadly never finished university. So there's nothing else for me. you know, uh, don't get it twisted. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you both sides of the coin, right? I love making music and I love singing and I love writing and I love performing. Um, but let's be honest, like if I was making more money, I'd be touring less, you know.
So if we go back in time quickly, mate, like you started HED PE back in 1994. So what was the musical climate like that gave birth to the band, and where did you fit?
Well, in 94, it was like, you know, Nirvana, Offspring, Rage Against the Machine, Beastie Boys, uh Cypress Hill, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, you know, Nine Inch Nails, Marilyn Manson, Bad Religion. There was so much good music in 94. I'm sure there is all the time, but you asked me in 94, like it's very easy for me to go, you know, Mary J. Blige, Sublime, you know, just fucking the Deftones, Korn, like all that shit was popping off in Southern California. Um, so yeah, that's very inspirational time to get my career started.
And at the time, like the style of music, it blended rock, punk, there was rasta, there was gangster rap and soul music. Like these days, a lot of bands are doing it, but back then it was a pretty fresh concept. Like, did people take to it straight away, or did they sort of did it take a bit of time for people to understand what you were doing?
Well, it seems like music became more purified after our genre. There, you know, there wasn't as much of the hybrid music, more just metal here and trap here. Um, Having said that, though, we get. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed at how well received Head PE is, no matter where we play, after or before. We're normally playing with all day of metal bands and hardcore metal bands. Um, and people just, you know what? It must be just good. We're putting out good. The music is a good vibe, even when it's heavy. So I don't know. People, we're treated well all the time. Like I say, we played like big festivals this year, big rock festivals in the U.S. and we were treated so well by the fans every time. Yeah.
Now you mentioned something earlier about a secret record, so it's not going to be secret for much longer when I ask you about it. What's going on with that?
Yeah, I can't really say what it's about, but it's just kind of I really it's a totally top secret, but I'm delivering it in the next, you know, in the next week. So people are going to start hearing about what it is as soon as I kind of, you know, when you're working with companies, you have to kind of go by their schedule of announcing stuff and whatever, you know.
Understandable, mate. I won't push you too much more then because you sound like you want to talk about it, but you get in trouble if you do.
Yeah, I almost got started, but I was like, I better shut up.
Very cool, mate. Well, one final question before we go, mate. Like, HPE, you've had a long and distinguished career, mate, but one day when you do decide to pull stumps, what do you hope the inscription would be on your musical tombstone?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. It's such a great question. It's hard for me to give a quick answer to. Um, uh, yeah, you stumped me. You stumped the panel because I'm like getting really deep in it right now. You know, I'm picturing my tombstone, and you know, you've given me like a question as if it's going to be written in stone. Because I want it maybe to be one of my. There's a lyric from Detox, uh, from the last song PCH, where in that I do this one bar where I go, I never made it big, but I made it. I never got to buy my mom a crib, but I guess I made it. So I think that would be cool. I never made it big, but I made it is probably would really just says everything about my career.
Beautiful, Jahred. Well, thanks very much for your time today, mate. HED PE are in Australia February next year. I'll be coming along to the Brisbane show, mate. So hopefully you get to catch up and say good day.
My man, Chris, thanks for taking the time, bro. Please check in with me. Come to the show, man.